Hello, this is Kevin Williams and Daniel Yaniv. Daniel is the managing member and owner of Yaniv & Associates, and since 2009, Daniel and his attorneys have represented more matrimonial clients than any other law firm in New York. And today we're going to talk about how we've helped him with his pay-per-click and turn things around, and how we are generating qualified leads for him at the moment, and also the impact it's having on his firm. So Daniel, thanks for taking the time today, and welcome to the call.
Sure. Thank you, Kevin.
So you had a pay-per-click campaign before we met. When did you first start marketing on the search engines, and what led you to begin to realize that this is something you needed to market your firm that way?
Sure. Well, my particular niche, and specifically the divorce sector, is highly competitive. The market itself is really just saturated with attorneys, and it becomes very difficult to stand out for most attorneys, especially if you're a relatively new company or a relatively new firm and you're trying to get a system in place that's going to generate leads, etc. And initially I had tried doing the pay-per-click campaigns on my own, and I started seeing results, but the biggest issue that I was facing was the cost of leads was just astronomical. The cost of the AdWord campaigns are just becoming really, really overwhelming, and it made it very difficult to be profitable when the lead generation was costing as much as it was. So that really started me thinking that perhaps there's a better way to manage my AdWord campaigns and my pay-per-click management to generate leads more efficiently, more directed, and also doing it more cost effectively. And I also did not have the time to devote to learning the ins and outs of AdWord management. And tweaking it and the sort of the daily grind involved in getting the results that I was looking for. So that kind of led me to believe that I needed to seek the assistance of a professional, someone that had the experience and had the history of results in this particular market.
Great. And when you first started, you mentioned your cost per lead was high. How were you measuring the results in the beginning?
Well, I didn't have a very advanced system. I was simply looking at the results that I was getting in terms of the volume of calls, clients that were actually taking action in some fashion, versus the amount that I was spending on the acquisition of those clients. And at some point, I was just crunching the numbers, and I was really cutting into my profitability at a high rate because, sure enough, if you throw tons of money at your ad campaigns, you're going to get results, but you'll also have very, very minimal profitability on those results. So I realized that there was a balance between the ad spend and the effectiveness of the campaigns, and that really was the trigger point for me, or the breaking point where I realized I needed to lower my spend and make my campaigns a lot more efficient and get the same results without spending the same amount of money or spending that astronomical figures that I was spending at the time.
Yeah, and then eventually you found your way to us, and so what are we doing a little bit differently than you were able to do yourself?
First off, it's nice to kind of unload your troubles on someone and have someone who's sort of like a business psychiatrist who generally speaking, most business owners are doing things on their own, and they got to deal with almost everything, and especially for me, where I'm managing this business, running the day-to-day operation of the business. It makes it very difficult. When something goes wrong, or if your marketing is off, it makes it difficult to devote the time and really get the expertise you need to correct it. And sometimes you need sort of like a therapist to hear you out and then come up with solutions. And what you guys started doing differently when I first met you is you kind of gave me a game plan for how you intend to approach the process. First, obviously, getting deeper into the analytics and getting a good sense of where we're at and what we're looking at currently, or at the time that we started, and then coming up with a game plan in terms of how we intend to break out the campaigns, how we intend to fine-tune the campaigns, coming up with ideas and strategies for getting more specific results on particular landing pages, coming up with solutions to getting those pages to convert better, getting the landing pages to convert better, getting the campaigns broken out into very, very location specific. Especially for us where we target the entire state of New York. You could blanket the entire state of New York, but there is obviously, you're going to get a better result on your campaigns if the people finding you, through pay-per-click management or pay-per-click campaigns are actually fine-tuned, or the campaigns are fine-tuned so that they're actually seeing results for their specific locations. And so we've tried a whole bunch of different strategies, and you guys have been, really effective at bringing me a higher return or a higher click-through rate, getting those numbers up, and then I've progressively seen the numbers increasing from month to month as we've been working on the campaigns together. And I think what's unique about you guys is that, I have a weekly call with you, Kevin. I think it's really great that I can go through sort of a synopsis of where we're at, what we need to do, get an assessment of where the campaigns are at and what the kind of results we're seeing. And I think that's phenomenal. I think that's really what every business needs, is someone who gets on the phone and addresses the issues and then gives you a strategy that they actually will go ahead and implement.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, can you explain some of the strategies we're working on together, from custom landing pages? You mentioned going granular with the location. We implemented a multi-step process, and then we're also working together on building that quiz. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on those types of strategies?
Sure. So part of I guess coming up with innovative ways to make landing pages or campaigns more effective means coming up with unique ways to engage clients. And what we've been doing together, you and I, Kevin, is coming up with, in addition to landing pages that engage the clients and create those leads, we're working right now on coming up with specific quizzes that are going to lead to very specific customized video landing pages that are going to offer clients in our particular field sort of a synopsis of their unique situation and how we can help them. And what we're doing is creating a landing page which offers a quiz, or let's just call it a walkthrough interview, that based on the user's selections and based on their personal situation will result in a video presentation geared to them. And we believe, and we're going to test this out, we believe that enabling users to engage in that way and kind of offering some value at the end of that little quiz will result in a higher conversion rate in terms of clients taking that next step and contacting us, or taking that next step and submitting their information so that we can contact them. And what we found is that the more we engage the client on our website, rather than just offering information and saying, hey, call us, the more we've been able to engage the client, the higher the conversion rate would be for that particular client. And so we feel that if we find a way to engage them that much more and offer a little bit of value to them when they hit that landing page, we believe that following that methodology, we'll be able to get a much higher click-through, a much higher conversion on those clients.
I really like it because you're building value before you ask anything of them. And then you're also segmenting them too, so you could speak to them more individually than lumping everybody together as a whole. So hopefully once we launch that does work out, and it seems like intuitively it seems like it will, but we'll have to look at the data after we get some water in the pipes.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think that once this is up and running, I do believe, based on my experiences with these type of campaigns, that we're going to see some significantly improved results, and ultimately it'll make a big difference to the bottom line. That's really what it's all about. Yep.
When we started working together, do you remember how quickly it was when you started to see results from the campaign?
Almost immediately we started seeing that the click-through rates were improving, the conversion rates were improving. One thing that I was not monitoring on my own was the metrics and the analytics, which is something that you guys have been able to do pretty effectively, is give us a good sense of the analytics and how pages were converting on a month-to-month basis. And it also allowed us to really tweak campaigns so that campaigns that were working well were now pushed to the forefront, whereas campaigns that weren't working as well were, kind of pushed to the side. And so it also enabled me to realize where most of my clients were coming from and devote more resources to tackling those particular locales versus locales that weren't generating the same conversions. Overall, we started seeing on a month-to-month, we started seeing those conversions going up. And again, we have a very cyclical business, so there are months that there's going to be deviation. But what we do is we tend to look at a time frame in, let's say we're talking about, June. We'll look at a time frame in June based on this year and versus last year, and what we're seeing is an improvement in the conversion rates and improvement in the in all of the metrics across the board, and that's how I know that it's working, and that's how I know that these campaigns are really picking up steam.
Yeah, and I think we started. It was last summer. August was the first month we had all the tracking implemented, and in August I think we recorded 67 conversions, which would be a lead, either a form completion or a phone call. And then just last month in March it was 275 conversions. So we definitely increased that number, and your cost per conversion went from $220 down to $65. So yeah, those are, and it wasn't something that was changed in 1 month, but like you said, yeah, all the actions and the incremental improvements we're able to make over time have led up to that. The increase in leads and the decrease in cost per lead.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. Great. Now, do you think other attorneys should investigate whether this type of marketing is a fit for their business? I feel like there's a lot of false advice and education out there about, effective marketing, especially with pay-per-click and search engine marketing. But you've lived through it. You've had the experience. Do you think that other attorneys should investigate this?
Sure. Well, here's what I would say. All attorneys can benefit from effectively managed and effectively implemented AdWord campaigns. Many attorneys are afraid to engage in it because it is costly, and certainly if it's not done properly, it can be, it could be an extremely costly mistake. So yes, the answer is that all attorneys should engage in it. It's a question of don't engage in it unless you know what you're doing, because like I said, if you're not setting up your campaigns, or I've seen attorneys who will set up rather expensive campaigns, and those campaigns hit just a very bland landing page with no call to action and just random information. And those are going to be very ineffective campaigns. And so, yes, they will waste their money. They'll have a bad experience, and they'll say, okay, pay-per-click or AdWords is just not for me. And the truth is, it's not that it's not for them. It's just that they've set it up incorrectly, and they didn't really have a strategy in terms of how they were going to generate those leads. Because sending people to your Contact Us page is not really doing anything. They'll just click right back out of it. So if you get the people there, but they're not drinking the water, then there's obviously something wrong with the water, and you have to kind of fix what they're getting to when they arrive. So that is a big part of it, and that's where people make a big mistake. So yes, all attorneys can benefit from it to different extents, and it really will be a question of how they engage those clients once they get them there. So yes, to answer your question, if an attorney has the means and the ability to set up this campaign properly, and when I say that, I mean setting up the actual ad campaigns, and then ensuring that those the landing pages that they reach engage the clients, then they will see success. If, on the other hand, any one of those elements is missing, then they will be sinking a lot of money into a futile campaign. So it really boils down to having the right team on board that's going to facilitate all of that. And it's not something that most attorneys are naturally good at. It's not something that most attorneys really want to get involved with. So most attorneys are not marketers. They know what they know, but they're not really sure how to get and convey that information in a way that's going to engage the clients. And I think that's where they need effective marketing and effective AdWord campaigns that will get those results.
That's some really solid advice. Yeah, and that's, I can't tell you how many attorneys I've spoke with that have tried it in the past and said, no, it doesn't work for me, and then we start digging into the conversation more, and they, realize that they were driving traffic to their homepage or, another page that just, it wasn't engaging at all. So that's some really sound advice there. Well, thank you, Daniel. We won't take any more of your time today. We appreciate you, taking the time to speak with us. We're happy to here to serve you.
Happy to do this interview, and hopefully we'll continue to do great things together.
Perfect. Sounds good. Right. Take care, Daniel.
Sure. Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye.